Morning. It's a bit of a rainy, misty morning here in North Leven, just outside of Oban. We've packed up the van, ready to drive as you can see, and we're ready to hit the road towards Glencoe, where we will be hitting our second and final campsite. I'm not sure with the weather whether I'll be able to get any good footage of the scenery, but I will try my best to see if I can get some good shots of the mountains, because it is a really beautiful region that we're going to be passing through, and I'll show you the campsite that we'll be at, and maybe I'll even vlog lunch, as we're going to be eating at the Loch Leven, a seafood cafe which is supposed to be really good. Maybe I'll compare the seafood platter that we had at the Green Shack in Oban to the seafood platter that we'll be having here at Loch Leven, and seeing which one's the best, how they measure up. Should be interesting. On the approach to Glen Co Village, you can just about, in front of the mist, make out the pap of Glencoe. Pap meaning breast in Gaelic, named for its unusual appearance. You might just be able to make it out behind the mist, and ahead of us, Glen Co Village. So this is a lovely display of the map of the region we're in right now. We're around this area. So we've just made a brief stop at the Glen Co Visitor Centre, which is where I recorded that piece of history written down about the Glen Co Massacre, which I'll cover in a little while when we're back in the van.
No, I think we were carrying on to me. Is that not?
It's a mountain rescue kit from the 1960s and 70s. Let's see what the standard equipment would be. Plenty of rope, one or more stretchers, rucksacks, casualty bag, balaclava helmet, lots of medical equipment, flasks. Some more. An old Ogden survey guide. Well. And this is what they would use today to climb mountains, compared to much more primitive. We had some old vintage pictures of the old Scottish Mountaineering Club in 1893. Glencoe looking east in 1928. Colorised photo from 1937. And some more vintage photos of the Scottish Mountaineering Club. Very interesting. So there. Little villages. So these are some little villages from the 1700s. Only 80 were residents in one, 70 and 60 in the other. Still a very secluded area back then. In fact, apparently until, I think it said it was 1780, there was no roads coming through Glencoe and the only way was on foot. It was only then when tourism began, and shortly after mountain explorers soon followed. Just beyond this gate is a reconstruction of a 17th century turf and creel house that one of the residents in the villages that we saw on that map would have lived in. Unfortunately, it's still under construction, so we can't get in just yet, which is a shame. It'd be nice to have a little tour of it, but that gives you a little impression of what village life would have been like back then. I mean, quite a scenic place to live, but sure life would have been a little bit more difficult back then. I'll stick to being a city slicker, I suppose. And I forgot to mention that those three mountains are known as the Three Sisters of the Glen. So they are quite a famous part of the local nature. And they do look incredible, even barely visible beneath the mist. Anyway, back to the van. We're going to drive and see if we can get some more scenic views of the mountain ranges and the surrounding nature. And I might explain a little bit more about what the Glen Co Massacre was. So just as we're leaving the visitor centre, I thought I'd explain just a little bit of background on what the massacre of Glencoe was. So in 1692, when the MacDonald clan refused to pledge allegiance to the new monarchs, William III and Mary II, Scottish government forces came to practically wipe them out, and so they did. And that was in, obviously, Glencoe, and that's what the little infographic that I showed you in the visitor centre was all about. I don't know how visible that was and if you had a chance to read it, so I thought I'd just give you a brief explanation of what that was. Wow. Just to contrast that beautiful image, I forgot to add that the massacre of Glencoe took place while the victims were sleeping soundly in their beds. Thought I'd just finish the story.
Yeah, the McDonald's had been playing hosted the Campbells.
Yeah, the McDonald's hosted the Campbells, who were Scottish government loyalists. And while their hosts, the McDonald's, were asleep, that's when they chose to wipe them out, and at least 30 of them were killed. But yeah, anyway, let's focus on the beauty of the region now. I mean, that is stunning. Straight out of Lord of the Rings. Let's just see what the view is like from the side. back round on ourselves now to get a different view of the Three Sisters, as you can just see right in front. You can actually see the first two quite clearly. I don't know how it translates on camera, but I can see them very well. Sat-nav tells us we're 23 minutes away from the Loch Leven seafood cafe, which is where we'll be having lunch, and I'll be able to compare yesterday's seafood platter, the famous seafood shack in Oban, with today's at the Loch Leven in Glen Co. I'm curious to see which one will be better and what the difference will be. Either way, I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure it will be at least almost as good, maybe as good, maybe even better. Soon find out. At the Loch Leven seafood cafe. We're just a little bit early for our reservation, so I thought I'd show you the Loch Leven itself. The weather's actually quite nice. It's a slight cool air, but it's not windy. The rain seems to have subsided, and it's really quite pleasant. I'm really looking forward to this seafood platter that we'll be getting. But yeah, first I'd just love to show you this absolutely stunning loch, and the hills around it, just something else. And it should be a better view of the highlands for you, since we're now out of the vehicle and completely unobstructed. Behold. Look at that. That's Loch Leven. The Glencoe Mountains in the background. I think this is still the Glencoe Mountains. Not entirely sure, we might have actually passed. I think it's right. And it continues for quite a while on. I just didn't want to get any footage on the drive here because I was on one bore on my camera, so I decided to charge up my camera so it didn't die while I was showing you the seafood, probably the most important part. In much anticipation, the Loch Leven seafood platter has arrived, and it's something to behold, so get ready for this. I mean, we have everything. We have oysters, we have a whole lobster, we have langoustines, clams, mussels, God knows what else is buried under here. We've got some crab, we've got a whole crab, under here. We have razor clams. Okay, so I think I'm gonna start with an oyster. Are you gonna start with an oyster too? I don't know, but it's like a vinaigrette thing. Yeah, it's like a vinaigrette. Now, pull that loose. Down the hatch.
Should be listening.
That's good. That's really good. Go for a little clam. This is so good. I mean, look at it. That is insane.
Yesterday was good.
But I think this takes the cake for sure. I'm going to try one of these, see how the mussels compare, because the mussels were the best part of yesterday's, so I want to see how these ones stack up. I have high hopes because they look amazing. Unreal. Oh my god. That head meat. That's special. Oh, it's buttery, it's sweet, it's soft, it's juicy. That's arguably the best crab I've had. I hope this is all translating well on camera because this really is amazing. Get some more crab meat. That is some amazing crab meat. So juicy and fresh. I'll go for the big leg. I'm going to move on to one of these. Oh wait, seems to have fallen out. There we go.
Get it?
Yeah.
The razor clams, mate.
You know what, I've never had a razor clam before. So juicy.
Those razor clams are absolutely amazing.
The langoustine in far behind either. So good. I think we've got a clear winner. No offence to the amazing Oban seafood shack, but this is just something on a whole new level. Now, I think I'll move on. In fact, I'm going to try the lobster claw. I'm going to save the rest of the lobster for. Look at the size of that meat within the lobster claw. Dip that. Bit of the butter. Anyway, we've got a lot to get through, but I think I've demonstrated at least one of each. Verdict is, it's amazing. I'll come back once we've finished this Herculean feat of seafood delicacies. So, walking out there, slightly full, slightly intoxicated by all that fresh, delicious fish almost. There's something that gives you a bit of a buzz and lifts you up just a little bit once you treat yourself to something like that. Quite possibly the very best seafood that I've had in my whole life. Without a doubt, one of the most memorable food experiences, that's for sure. I mean, everything was just so fresh and delicious. The mussels were the plumpest and juiciest I've ever had. Razor clams was something that I had for the first time, and I think it'll be hard to beat those when I have them the next time. The lobster meat, especially in that claw, so good. The crab head meat was just buttery and soft. All in all, that was an amazing seafood platter. And a clear winner in the Battle of the Platters. Glencoe's Loch Leven Seafood Cafe wins. Although, it might be unfair to compare given the price range. The Oban Green Shack is something that you just pick up, eat outside casually, as you're walking through Oban, and it only cost £35, around that. In here it costs around £87, so it's clearly a bit more of a treat, and given that it costs more, it's of a higher class. For value for money, you can't beat the Green Shack, but I'd definitely recommend, if you're passing through, treat yourself to some food from the Loch Leven seafood cafe. Anyway, onwards to our campsite.
Red Squirrel campsite.
To the Red Squirrel campsite in Glen Co.